when the pandemic started, the Alberto Fernandez Peronist government tried to show itself as very prudent and taking the lockdown very seriously and basing itself on science. And it tried to show the reactions of the Bolsonaro in Brazil, the Bolsonaro government in Brazil, or Boris Johnson or Trump, and say, okay, these people, they're completely eccentric and imprudent and irresponsible, and we're really going to take care of this. And in the first months, he did very regular reports personally to the media where he showed the numbers and this and that. So, but what actually happened was that even though there was a formal lockdown, the capitalist companies pretty much were able to, after a few struggles or a few, a bit of friction, were able to fully function at all moment, and not just essential sectors, but growingly, absolutely all the economy. So once that's happening, and of course, in lieu of a government where testing practically does not exist and case tracing does not exist, so all that exists is telling people, try to stay home, try to wear a mask. But they've pretty much taken it to a point where it's the individuals who are responsible for it, and the state absolutely takes no active policy. So what we've demanded are several points. First of all, we said to be able to guarantee health, we need to centralize the health system under the state and under workers' control, because you have big parts of the health system which are run by private companies or which are run by, by the unions in a way, obras sociales, uh, health plans of the unions. And so we said we need to centralize all of these resources, because maybe in the big cities it hasn't gotten to the point where people don't have a hospital bed, but in many places of the country it has reached in different moments. And this has not been, there has been no response from the federal government to guarantee health. First off. Second, we've done a big campaign for working class protocols against COVID inside the factories. In unions where we have the leadership, for example, we have the leadership of the National Tire Workers Union. So in like the plants of Bridgestone, Pirelli, a local company, Fate, and other plants of tire workers, we were able to impose that work did not commence until acceptable protocols for controlling, contagion could be established, and that 100% of the wages were paid in suspension in the meantime. This, of course, was not the case in many other factories where suspensions, went for big wage cuts, where even though the government said it would, it signed a presidential decree saying that layoffs were forbidden unless unions and bosses reached a special agreement in the Ministry of Labor. So what happened was the unions, which respond to the government, signed off on all of the layoffs that the bosses presented to the tone of thousands of layoffs of formal workers. Of course, informal workers of the types that we talked about a bit before, got laid off without any such, in the thousands as well, and without any such ceremony. So what happened across over the months was the cases picked up very strongly, and Argentina is now 11th on the international ranking of cases and growing, because the economy has not stopped. What happened at the same time was there's a big process of poverty and unemployment, which is growing violently, because there has been no real. There have been very small checks. There were like I think 4 checks in the whole year, of a very low, very much below what a family needs to live as income, and practically no wage increases in the unions. They maintain everything the whole year, very much suppressed economically, the working class taking advantage of the pandemic. So that has led to a process of impoverishment, one aspect of which is a big housing crisis, which led during the middle of the year, after the winter, like mostly August, September, to a big process of land seizures. The PO intervened very strongly in this whole process, also through our unemployed workers organization, which is called the Polo Obrero, in a land seizure which was over 10,000 families here in the south of the greater Buenos Aires area. These land seizures were violently repressed by the government, who offered no solutions for workers who just weren't able to pay rent. So they occupied land which has no building on it, and in many cases no direct clear owner, and have tried to establish their houses there. But this movement has been violently repressed, and we have had dozens of comrades arrested for supporting these families, and who have now legal legal persecution, who have trials pending on resisting arrest, resisting authority, attacking the police, and all these sort of accusations that are falsified, that are constructed by the government to try to make people afraid of fighting back. So those are a few of the situations that have happened. What's going on now is the cases are spiking again. It's as strong as it was in winter here, which is in June, was the peak. It's now already back again to that point, and no measure is being taken to try to curtail the economic movement, which makes people get on buses, on trains to go to work every day. No subsidy is being given to be able to make workers clear of this situation. And the whole campaign of the government is just telling people to try to stay at home. And it says that the spikes are due to young people who meet and go to parties, as if this was the only dangerous situation which happens when the factories are functioning, the shops are open, so the people have to go to work everywhere, and this is where a big part of the contagion is going on. And of course, countries like ours are last on cue for the vaccines, which are dominated by the big laboratories of US and Europe. There have been all that has been achieved is a shipment of the Russian vaccines, 300,000, but a very small part of which the government has been able to muster the logistics to actually get people vaccinated. So we have about a 10% in almost a month, under 10% of the vaccines received have actually been used. So it's not looking very good, that prospect, because though they had announced deals with Pfizer and other of the labs for thousands of vaccines, and this had been told to the press, the reality is that production levels are slower than expected, and what is actually produced is given to the US and Europe, and the lion's share of it is given to the US and Europe.